Every time I start one of these videos, I feel like Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another card video. Today, I'm using brand new Your Next Step stamp Hobby Chicks and Ripped Rectangles, as well as some Distress ink. We were told to get inky, so that's what I'm doing. I've got a piece of Tim Holtz watercolor paper, and I started making some circles with a kind of a wet on wet technique, but concentrated in circles. This worked out pretty good. I used a rainbow of colors. If you want the colors that I've used, you can visit my blog. I've got them all listed there. But as I went along, I tried to speed up the process by drying things with my heat tool. And then at the end, it looked really great. And I went to pull off the tape and it ripped my paper. You'll see here in a second. See that? Terrible. Terrible. Okay? So I started over, but these circles were a little bit too perfect. You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of a Winnie and Walter logo. So I kept moving on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this, but it was like a little bit too perfect. So I started a much more wet on wet technique. So I saturated the paper and then I put the color down and then I dried it. And then added some color over top of that in layers. All the while drying it with my heat tool. And I feel like that is what really turned out the most unique. So you'll see me here add color over top. And that's how you layer the color. You wait for it to dry completely and then you layer over top. And that way it intensifies the color instead of taking it away with the Distress ink. So in the end, I was really happy with the way that this kind of not so symmetrical background turned out. I really like how the watercolors in general make that line of color. So here's the two backgrounds that weren't ripped, and I decided to use the regular one. I'm using some scrapbook.com white pigment ink to stamp directly on top of my background here. And this sentiment is from the Hobby Chicks stamp set. It's a really great sentiment, and it really goes with us paper crafters. So I stamped it directly onto my background and I white heat embossed it after that. So it's really white. And then I'm stamping the little chick, the little painter chick, and the easel with some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I'm going to clear heat emboss that because I'm going to use my zigs. Now, in hindsight, I could have just used the Distress inks to watercolor, but you know, I'm just now getting back into this after vacation, so you know, whatever, I'm using my zigs. So I'm taking the background and I'm using two dies. I'm using the rectangle from MFT Blueprints 1 to cut it down, and then I'm using the middle die from the Ripped Rectangles to cut out kind of a popped up portion. I'm also cutting it out with this black craft foam, and I'm going to use that to pop up the sentiment like so. Make sense? Good. So I want to make this all one piece, so I'm using this typing paper to help me adhere everything together. After you saturate the typing paper with adhesive, you can layer your pieces together. I'm using glossy accents to adhere the craft foam to that sentiment piece. Just trying to carefully go around the edges so that they get adhered really well. So while that dries, I'm going to adhere with just tape runner adhesive this craft foam to the back of my front panel. And then that piece to my card base, which is of course Simon Says Stamp Fog cardstock. And then that fits just like a puzzle. And this looked great. You could leave this card as is and be done. But of course, I can't do that. I had to add this little chick, and I made the little chick painting on the easel something very similar to my card front. So I'm just using a handful of primary rainbow color Zig Clean Color Real brush markers. I like to just lay down a little bit of color and then draw it out with the paintbrush. And then here I'm taking color right from the tip of the zig and painting on that little easel. So it makes it look like the chick has a watercolor painting. I'm using the coordinating dies to pop them out and some Scotch 3M foam tape to pop them up. And of course, I couldn't be done at this point either, you know, because that would make way too much sense. So I'm breaking out some Nuvo Jewel Drops to add some colored drops within the colors of that background. I have Limoncello, Gray Mist, Sea Breeze, and Key Lime. Whatever colors you don't have, Gray Mist will totally work for it. So because it has such a light gray color, it'll just absorb whatever color or turn whatever color it is put on top of. So if you don't have all the colors, have no fear. Gray Mist is here. Oh yeah, I'm full of the jokes today. Oh yeah. And that's my card, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for some more clips of our wonderful Disney vacation, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, this is a card front that I did just sponging with daubers. How cool is that? Whoa!
It's the Pentagon. Taylor, the Pentagon is
You okay?
No, I don't want to look at the window.
Okay, that's okay.